This video was brought to you by NCIX. Great technology, selection, and service.
Hello everyone, this is Dmitry with Hardware Canucks, and today we're taking a look at the Thermaltake enclosure. This is the Commander G41. This is the windowed version, priced at $69. At initial glance, this looks like it has potential, doesn't it? So we've got a large windowed panel revealing the entire internals. While you can see a lot of it, so like your drive cage, I do still think that it suits the styling of the G41. Both side panels protrude slightly, allowing additional clearance for cable management at the back and symmetrical form on the opposite windowed side. The top also has a protruding part that would allow a little extra clearance for internal fans. So as you can see, we have dual 120mm fans or a single 140 and a 200mm mount. One thing to point out are the dual 120mm mounts. The ones directly in the center would not allow a 240 radiator to be installed as they're not properly spaced out. However, the mounting holes offset closer to the side panel would allow a 240 radiator to be installed no problem. This is an awesome consideration from Thermaltake to take into account for any cabling or tall motherboard heatsinks. One problem though here would be the lack of a dust filter, so keep that in mind. We have 2 inches of clearance before hitting the memory modules, and even the frame itself is cut to support a top radiator with a set of fans. The front panel continues with this aggressive appeal with the Thermaltake logo in the center, 3 optical bays, and up top with 2 USB 3 ports, audio jacks, and PR buttons. The panel is fully covered with a dense filter inside, so removing it reveals a single front intake, and here's where I raised a few eyebrows trying to figure out as to why Thermaltake decided on this approach. So we have just one fan intake slot. This is for the bottom drive cage only. It is heavily restricted, so front intake will be heavily limited. And this is where a second intake fan would come in handy, but unfortunate to us, the G41 does not support a second front intake fan. The top drive cage is removable. That opens up clearance for longer GPUs, as otherwise only 11 inches is available. So again, a fan mount on the actual frame would have been perfect to boost the cooling potential. Coming to the back, we do have an exhaust fan included with 8+1 PCI slots, and each side panel is secured with these thumb screws that are attached to the panel so you don't displace them, and I would love to see this become the standard. The G41 stands on quality tall case feet, and underneath the power supply is a filter that I would love to see get extinct and updated with a proper dust filter. Also notice there's an optional bottom intake that I would strongly suggest to utilize, as front intake is non-existent. And here's the strange thing, Thermaltake thought to include a 3.5-inch bay converter and instead omit the things that actually matter. So notice, again, missing dust filter for that bottom slot. With our 170mm power supply unit, a 120mm fan fit no problem, so at least Thermaltake has worked out the spacing here right. As I said earlier, the top drive cage is removable, no tools required. We have 3 drive caddies per cage with standard mechanical support and centered SSD mounts. A couple of things I appreciate are the pre-installed motherboard standoffs that are always nice to have, plus all the black cabling for cleaner looking build. There are many cable tie mounts behind the motherboard tray, even in the center there, with a full inch of space to work with and a sleeve at the bottom to tuck away any of the smaller cables. However, there are no rubber grommets. The very bottom cutout I think is just way too large, and the 8-pin CPU cutout is sort of in its wrong place. That is covered by our standard ATX motherboard completely. Instead, you have to route the cable through another cutout up top that is offset in the center and might actually not have enough reach for your 8-pin cable. As you can see though, the build looks fine regardless. I mean, it's easy to work around the flaws of the case for a clean system, and also at the back, cables are under control, and this is definitely one of the things the G41 does really well. I'm very disappointed at the missed cooling potential for the front, as we've so gotten accustomed to seeing dual front intake fans, so this case has a lot of missed opportunities that I honestly wasn't expecting even at this price point. And so to conclude, the Commander G41 is not a complete letdown. I love the large side panel window and properly thought out top water cooling support. Build quality of the frame is excellent without the severe flexing we've been seeing on cases lately. I'm talking to you, 230T from Corsair and NTEC P100. Modular drive cage is appreciated, especially for the extra clearance for those long GPUs. However, I can't stand the fact that there's no support for a second intake fan at the front, and the one included for the bottom drive cage is completely choked by the frame. There's no proper dust filters neither on the top nor the bottom, plus the missing rubber grommets, and that 8-pin CPU cutout is in a poor location. I get this is a budget-oriented enclosure that you can pick up for as little as $50 in some instances, and for that situations you may look past the compromises, but for $69 I'd say the G41 deserves to stay in the box, as there's just way too many issues that I consider deal-breaking even for a value enclosure. And I would actually recommend the Source 530 from NZXT or the N600 from Cooler Master that are both within the same price bracket that just offer such a better value. But what do you guys think? Do you agree with me on this, or would you consider the G41 a worthy consideration in today's market? As always, leave your comments down below. Thanks for watching, don't forget to subscribe and like for more similar content, and we'll see you in the next one.